Welcome to Livestream. I'm your host, Dr. Alex Plains, with my co-host, Jeremy Applegate. How you doing today, Jeremy?
Great. How are you doing?
I'm doing phenomenal, man.
I am excited, and I know you're excited about today's topic. Culture.
What are we talking about?
Business culture.
Culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to dive right into this thing because we're going to make this short and sweet, right? So help me and help our listeners and our audience identify what characteristics impact business culture, negatively or positively. What do you think?
There's so much into that question.
Yeah.
So I think that the first thing you got to do is you got to create your mission, vision, values, right? And that's going to help you identify the culture that you want to create.
Correct.
So it's very important as an owner of a business. That is the first layer that you gotta break through. So, and it doesn't need to be done in a rush. You got to take a lot of time to identify what is most important to you. And that doesn't only go in a business aspect. It also goes in your personal life as well. Because you got to be able, that vision and those values are so important to correlate with one another, not only personally, but professionally as well.
And I think that the listeners need to also understand, if you haven't realized this yet, but it's always going to be a work in progress, right? You're always going to enhance your mission, vision, values in some capacity on the business side and the personal side.
Yes, absolutely. And I think it's so important. I mean, I can't say it enough. And emphasize it enough. It's so important for you to start developing that culture right from the very beginning.
Yep.
Because what happens is when you start growing way too fast and you start missing those opportunities and developing your culture, by the time you have 15 or 20 employees, it gets so hard, so challenging to correct the culture.
Absolutely correct. It's got to be, you got to start that from day one. And you and I were just talking off camera. You know, we have a partner that used to be a partner of ours. He went out on his own, right? He was excited about that, and he was talking to me this week about, man, I didn't realize how you guys did things, and mission, vision, values was part of it. He's like, I'm building mission, vision, values right now, and you guys really have influenced me on how to create that.
That's amazing. You know, that means that we had an impact on him. Because I was not able to identify, I didn't even know about the importance of mission, vision, values. I mean, yeah, we would say yearly goals. You know, we knew that we wanted to take care of our patients. I knew ideally what my employee had to look like, you know, but we didn't implement it till 2021, and we're still working on it.
Yep, for sure.
And it's like what we always say, the vision can change, it can be altered. And you can have different visions for different companies and different values for different companies. It doesn't all identically need to match.
I agree, and I want the listeners to understand this too. Like, you can't print out your mission, vision, values on a piece of paper, put it in a frame, and put it on the front counter, and just leave it there and expect everybody to understand what the hell's going on. You have to preach it, beat them over the head. You have to practice it. You have to be the example, the voice of all of that.
Yeah, right? You got to constantly do it. But guess what? Once you identify and you create that culture, then you can just start building and growing so fast that you wouldn't even imagine how quickly you can get there.
Yeah, when you're at that point, it's easier to identify potential candidates. Right?
And you got to do it in the interview process.
Yes, sir.
You know, but you're going to grow so much faster. So I know you might have to take 10 steps back, but once you identify all these areas, then you can grow 100 times faster. Because like one of our biggest frustrations is getting the employees aligned with the culture and where we want to go.
I think that's a frustration with every organization.
You know, you got your employees that are toxic, you know, like anything, they gossip, they talk negatively about the owners, they go ahead and talk negatively about upper management, they talk negatively about each other. And then by the time you know it, they talk, the owner gets involved, and it's not only me that faces these challenges, all my colleagues and friends as well. Then they go ahead and they go out later on for drinks. And you're like, you guys were just talking crap about each other in the workplace, but then you guys are having drinks in happy hour afterwards and everything's okay. And the only thing that it's doing is destroying your culture in the business that you own and that you take pride on.
They're not bought in.
They're not bought in. So great. I love how you just say that. So how do we inspire everyone to be able to be aligned with our mission and where we want to go?
you and I have had these conversations a lot. It's all about follow up. It's all about holding them accountable. It's all about holding us accountable, our executive team accountable. All these people impact business culture, and all of them impact business culture in a different way. Like, our front desk people impact culture by receiving, right? But, you know, our management team, our executive team, those guys need to understand they impact culture by doing the accountability and the follow-up, you know, preaching your message.
Exactly. And sometimes you can have, and I'm sorry, I kind of cut you off there,
you're
but
good.
I sometimes you think that the you know, your higher management or, you know, your C-suite or whatnot is identifying that you guys have the same vision and the same values, but not necessarily. So you got to have those conversations even with your upper management. Just because they have a title or they're above other employees doesn't necessarily mean that they have your best interests at heart. So you got to make sure to be able to identify that and have those crucial conversations, because if they're not heading where you want to go, then you might have to part ways.
Yeah, I think that's important that you identify that. And, you know, when you get everybody aligned with culture, you can quickly identify the problem areas. And
Very
you can
quickly.
handle those accordingly.
Very quickly. And when you have a good culture and people are, you know, content and happy to go to work and they know that they're there for the purpose of the business or whatever their personal purpose is, guess what? Everything is just going to drastically improve. Like, you guys are going to produce, you guys are going to collect, everything is going to you're going to be happy, you're going to enjoy coming to work, and, you know, you're going to make major strides in these challenges.
Yeah, I agree. I think that I'm going to steal a phrase from an acquaintance and a team member from my past life. He always said, "The patient experience will never exceed the team experience." If a patient walks in the door and they see the team is aligned and they see the culture is outstanding in that office, they're going to have the best experience they've ever had in a dental office.
Amen. And we see it in our small organization, that the offices that the team is happy, they're excited, they love what they do, they automatically outproduce the other offices.
Yep.
That even though they possibly have more intelligent people and more developed people, at the end of the day, those offices always win.
You said that perfectly, because when an office is the results are better in one office than another, we don't go to the KPIs and to the data.
Yeah.
We talk about the team.
The team all the time. What is going on? What are the challenges that are going on?
Somebody's not aligned. The culture's not there. Somebody is, they've fallen off the path, and we need to get them back on.
I think if you don't invest in your team and you show them there's a different way to do it, you're never going to be able to reach your full potential. And you're going to find a lot of employees that are loyalists, and they're going to tell you what you want to hear. But those are the employees that you got to ask them even harder questions to see if they're really, really committed to what you're going and what you want to accomplish.
100%. I mean, 100%. You cannot do this by yourself.
No, you can't.
Can you do this by yourself?
No.
Not a chance in the world.
Absolutely.
You got to make sure your culture is there.
And as you grow and you get more employees and you get more opportunities and more sites, or you're going to start realizing that you can't do it by yourself. It's impossible. And you're also going to burn out. You're going to burn out very, very quickly. And I think a lot of people, especially doctors, they're very quick to just sell their business and go work for corporate. And there's nothing wrong with corporate if that's what you want to do. There's a lot of benefits of going corporate. But I think that if you work on your team and your culture and your purpose, I think that is all going to come together and you're going to be very happy owning the business.
I talked to a doctor this week, and, he's concerned because, he was in your kind of a situation with respect to being chairside all the time. How do I build this culture? How do I support my team? And how do I preach my mission, vision, values when I'm always taking care of patients?
Yeah, yes. You got to make the time. It's a lot of time. Remember, a CEO or an owner of a business, no matter the size it is, you're looking at minimum 60 to 80 hours a week.
Yeah.
And if you don't understand that, you shouldn't get involved with owning a business. And don't worry about the money. You can be very successful doing it a different way. But if you really want to own your business and control your destiny, you got to be willing to invest 60 to 80 hours a week.
I mean, that's a mandatory thing, and you're right on that. I mean, you hit that on the head. And we talk a lot
about... It ain't easy.
No, and we talk a lot about social media and how social media influences people, and they see these fancy cars and all these guys and gals with all this crazy stuff, and like, well, I want to do that, but they want to get there in 6 months.
Yeah, and they haven't built anything. The majority of the people that are doing that, they've never built anything concrete. They don't understand the challenges. They don't understand about building culture. They don't understand many things. You know, they have a facade, and at the end of the day, you go and you try to run a business thinking that you're going to be able to run it that way, and you're going to fail.
Yes, I agree, and I think that you guys need to understand, like, I'm not being critical of what they're doing or how they're doing it, but you need to make sure that you're paying attention and picking up on information from people like Dr. Plains or other mentors that have been
people that actually have done it,
you
know,
have been in the mud,
and we're constantly evolving. I don't know everything, but I admit it, you know, and that is one of the best things that you can do. You got to admit your weaknesses and your challenges and what you're working on, and be humble and be true to yourself, because at the end of the day, if you're not, guess what? You get arrogant, you get a high ego, you're going to fail. You're going to fail because there's going to be a guy that's going to do it differently, and he's going to be humble, and he's going to be hungry. And at the end of the day, he's going to beat you every single day of the week.
I feel like, you know, I'm going to use the word vulnerable. I feel like being vulnerable is inspirational because, you know, it makes you approachable as a CEO or an owner of an organization. You know what I mean?
You got to be extremely vulnerable. I love that word too. You got to be vulnerable. You got to be inspirational. You gotta be empathetic. You gotta understand the employees and what they're going through. And, you know, it's just like Don was saying last week, you know, he's helped people that have lost, you know, their homes through hurricanes. And he's been able to, he has such a good connection with them that he's paid for their new roof.
Yep. And that's important. You know, I think that's important to have those connections. And part of culture, that's just part of culture is, you know, we always say this too, you know, we're with these guys more than we're with our families, right? So you got to be able to get along with them in some capacity. You're going to fight. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. We're going to fight. But, you know, it's just part of the game.
Yeah, I feel like the moment you start building those relationships that are very deep with your employees and they understand who you truly are and what you're there for and what you stand for, your mind is going to be blown with the results you're going to get. Not only in your happiness when you go to work, but also your financials.
Yeah, they don't want to disappoint you, right?
Yeah, they
because
don't.
They make that connection with you, and there's no way in the world I'm disappointing Dr. Plains.
Yeah, I have some employees that have been with me for 7-8 years. I mean, I started this business back in ending of 2013. It rolled into 2014 when I finally got my first practice. But, you know, there's people that have been, these girls, you know, they love me, you know, and they have no shame in admitting it. And the reason they do is because, you know, I've cried with them. I've laughed with them. We've gotten angry together. We've been together. You know, we've gone through the challenges. And there's no shame in being who you truly are in these moments.
Be real.
You got to be real. And they see that.
Oh,
you know,
the
majority of people can read through the bullshit and they'll be able to identify when somebody's being real and connected to the employee or not.
How many times have we been in a meeting with some of our senior managers and we get off and we're like, okay, we want some feedback, and they're like, that guy's crazy, or we're not going to do business with that guy, or, you know, giving their feedback in that way because those people on the other line are not real.
They're not real because all they care about is how much they're going to get paid.
For sure.
And sometimes you got to bite the bullet. Sometimes you got to give complimentary advice, and you gotta be humble, and you gotta be dedicated to what your message is, because at the end of the day, you cannot be doing this because of the money. A lot of people are just focusing on the money and what they're gonna get out of it. But if you're not doing this because of your purpose and what you want to do in your life, and when you're in your deathbed and you look back in your life, you know, I always believe that as you translate to your upper being, to heaven, you're going to be looking down and you're going to be, I am proud of that man, or I'm proud of being that woman that I was while I was here on planet Earth.
I don't have anything to say after that. I know it's shocking, but I don't have anything to say.
It's, you know, and I tell my wife all the time, what type of legacy do you want to leave for your family? You know, I'm the first one in my family that actually got, you know, a college degree and then went into postdoctorate and got my doctorate. You know, but, you know, now my kids, I pretty much landed the land for them so much easier than what the challenges that we've gone through, right? So they're rolling into, so now they goes from my children to hopefully my grandchildren and so on. And they're going to say, oh, I remember my grandpa Alex, he did this, he did that, he did that. So I'm sorry to have to say this, but you got to take every single day and make it count. You got to make it count because you never know when the time might end. And you got to make sure that when you're there or whatever challenges you face, you are proud of the person that you were. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for your time today. I look forward to seeing you soon.